What price would you pay for the most beautiful object in the world? And what if that price was your husband's life? Today, we dive into one of Greek mythology's most chilling tales of betrayal, the story of Eriphyle, a woman whose greed for a cursed necklace would destroy her family and echo through generations. In ancient Greece, stories weren't just entertainment. They were moral compasses, teaching lessons about honor, duty, and the devastating consequences of our choices. The Greeks understood that even the smallest acts of betrayal could ripple outward, destroying everything in their path. Our story begins in the ancient city of Argos, where a prophet named Amphiaraos lived with his wife Eriphyle. Amphiaraos wasn't just any ordinary man. He was blessed with the gift of prophecy, able to see the future with crystal clarity. This divine ability made him one of the most respected seers in all of Greece, consulted by kings and heroes alike. But Amphiaraos's greatest gift would also become his curse. When he gazed into the future, he saw his own death approaching like a storm on the horizon. The vision was clear and terrifying. He would die in a war against the city of Thebes, swallowed by the earth itself as Zeus split the ground beneath his chariot. Meanwhile, in the kingdom of Argos, a bitter conflict was brewing. Polynices, one of the sons of the cursed Oedipus, had been exiled from Thebes by his brother Eteocles. Burning with rage and desperate to reclaim his throne, Polynices sought allies for what would become known as the Expedition of the Seven against Thebes. Polynices knew he needed the greatest warriors of Greece to succeed in his quest, and there was no warrior more formidable than Amphiaraos, whose prophetic powers could guide an army to victory. But there was one problem. Amphiaraos had seen his own death in this very campaign and absolutely refused to join. This is where our tale takes a dark turn. Polynices, cunning and desperate, devised a plan that would exploit the one weakness in Amphiaraos's armor, his wife's heart. He possessed something that no mortal woman could resist, the necklace of Harmonia. This wasn't just any piece of jewelry. The necklace had been crafted by Hephaestus himself, the god of fire and metalwork, as a wedding gift for Harmonia when she married Cadmus, the founder of Thebes. Made of the finest gold and adorned with jewels that seemed to capture starlight itself, the necklace possessed an otherworldly beauty that could entrance anyone who beheld it. But like many gifts from the gods, this necklace carried a terrible curse. It was destined to bring misfortune and death to all who possessed it, a fact that Polynices either didn't know or chose to ignore in his desperation. When Polynices approached Eriphyle with his offer, she was immediately captivated. The necklace seemed to glow with its own inner light, and she could imagine how it would look adorning her throat, making her the envy of every woman in Argos. The temptation was overwhelming, clouding her judgment and drowning out any voice of reason. Here's where the story reveals a crucial aspect of ancient Greek society. Amphiaraos and his brother-in-law Adrastus, the king of Argos, had made a sacred pact. Whenever they disagreed on important matters, Eriphyle would make the final decision. This agreement was meant to prevent conflicts between the two men, but it would prove to be Amphiaraos's downfall. Polynices knew about this arrangement. He offered Eriphyle the necklace in exchange for using her deciding vote to force Amphiaraos to join the expedition. The choice before her was clear: remain loyal to her husband's wishes and his safety, or betray him for a piece of jewelry no matter how magnificent. Greed won. Eriphyle accepted the necklace, and when the matter came to a vote, she sided with Adrastus and Polynices against her own husband. Amphiaraos, bound by his oath and the customs of their society, had no choice but to honor the decision. He would have to march to his death. But Amphiaraos wasn't naive. His prophetic powers had shown him exactly what was happening. He knew his wife had been bribed, knew she had sold his life for gold and jewels. The betrayal cut deeper than any sword could, destroying not just his trust, but his very soul. As he prepared for war, knowing he would never return, Amphiaraos called his young sons to him. His eyes burned with a mixture of sorrow and rage as he spoke words that would haunt his family forever. He made his sons swear a terrible oath. When they came of age, they must avenge his death by killing their own mother. Imagine the weight of such a command. These boys would grow up knowing that their mother had sold their father's life and that they were bound by sacred oath to become her executioners. It's a testament to the Greeks' complex understanding of justice and family honor that such a demand could be seen as both necessary and tragic. The expedition proceeded as planned, and just as Amphiaraus had foreseen, it ended in disaster. The 7 against Thebes failed in their assault, and each of the 7 champions met their doom. Amphiaraus's death was exactly as he had prophesied. As he fled the battlefield, Zeus split the earth with a thunderbolt, and he was swallowed alive along with his chariot and horses. Back in Argos, Eriphyle wore her beautiful necklace, but it brought her no joy. The gold felt heavy around her throat, and the jewels seemed to dim with each passing day. She had gained her heart's desire, but lost everything that truly mattered: her husband, her honor, and ultimately her life. Years passed, and Amphiaraus's sons grew to manhood. The eldest, Alcmaeon, had inherited his father's prophetic gifts and felt the weight of the oath pressing down on him like a mountain. He knew what he had to do, but the thought of matricide filled him with horror. The final act of this tragedy came when Alcmaeon could no longer bear the burden. Driven by duty, honor, and the sacred nature of his oath to his father, he fulfilled his terrible promise. Eriphyle, the woman who had once been tempted by beauty and wealth, met her end at her own son's hands. But the curse didn't end there. After killing his mother, Alcmaeon was pursued by the Furies, the ancient goddesses of vengeance who punish those who commit crimes against family. He wandered the earth, mad and tormented, unable to find peace or forgiveness for his deed. This story reveals the Greeks' sophisticated understanding of moral complexity. There are no clear heroes or villains here, only human beings making impossible choices in impossible circumstances. Eriphyle's betrayal was terrible, but her execution was equally tragic. Alcmaeon was both a dutiful son and a murderer, bound by competing obligations that tore his soul apart. The tale of Eriphyle speaks to timeless themes that resonate even today. How often do we see people sacrifice their integrity for material gain? How many relationships are destroyed by greed, jealousy, or the temptation of easy wealth? The story warns us that betraying those we love most deeply wounds not just them, but ourselves. Moreover, the story illustrates the Greek concept of inherited guilt and the cyclical nature of violence. Eriphyle's betrayal led to Amphiaraus's death, which led to her own murder, which led to Alcmaeon's madness and persecution. Each act of violence spawned the next, creating an endless chain of suffering that could only be broken by divine intervention or the complete destruction of the family line. The necklace of Harmonia itself became a symbol in Greek literature of how beauty and desire can mask destruction. After Eriphyle's death, the cursed jewelry continued to bring misfortune to all who possessed it, serving as a reminder that some prizes are too costly to claim. This myth has influenced countless works of art and literature throughout history. From ancient Greek tragedies to modern novels, the themes of betrayal, greed, and family destruction continue to captivate audiences. The story forces us to confront uncomfortable questions about loyalty, justice, and the price we're willing to pay for our desires. In our modern world, Eriphyle's story serves as a powerful reminder that our choices have consequences far beyond what we can imagine. When we betray those who trust us most, we don't just harm them. We damage the very fabric of our relationships and communities. The temporary satisfaction of getting what we want pales in comparison to the lasting devastation of broken trust. The tale of Eriphyle stands as one of Greek mythology's most haunting explorations of human nature. It reminds us that the greatest treasures in life, love, trust, and family bonds, cannot be bought, sold, or replaced. And once they're lost to betrayal and greed, the cost of that loss echoes through generations, leaving scars that may never fully heal.